Finding yourself in a horror movie means one thing: you're in danger. Whether that's mental or physical depends on the type of threat you're facing. But for the most part, even paranormal entities versed in psychological warfare are just as happy to be slicing and dicing bodies up as any corporeal form. Characters in horror are faced with certain bodily harm in almost every circumstance, and these films aren't afraid to get inventive with their pain. What's worse is the moments they are forced through to prove their will to survive, refusing to die by going through the most torturous scenarios filmmakers can fathom and get away with putting on screen. So then, here is a list of the 10 most gross, unsettling, and traumatizing injuries you can lay your twisted peepers on. Whether they be gory to the point of nausea or just downright rank in execution, they're the moments that you won't soon be forgetting. Drawn out to sickening lengths as we witness just what the human body is capable of being put through without dying. Hint: it's a lot. I am the pretty gross Ash from WhatCulture Horror, and these are the 10 most disgusting horror movie injuries. 10. A close shave. Cabin fever. If there is anything to be learned from cabin fever, it is that shaving is absolutely not worth it. Growing out a little leg fluff? Cute, practical, warm in winter. Taking a razor to your shins? Risk of a razor burn that takes half your flesh with it. No Shave November just became a year-round fashion statement. Alas, cabin fever's Marcy serves as our guide, and whilst having a little luxurious bath after boinking her pal Paul silly, she attempts to groom herself to disastrous results. Marcy has contracted a vicious disease that turns her skin into wads of gore, one ravaging her friend group after they accidentally encounter an infected man in the woods. As we watch her weep as she tries to commit to lathering up and shaving down, Marcy's tears fall on what quickly shows itself to be a deteriorating condition that has taken over from Paul's hands being on her back, bringing about the age-old curse of death by sexuality for women in horror movies. But that death does not come until after she has sloughed off her skin and wandered outside to be mauled by a dog, of course. 9. Bikini Works Raw. A modern take on the new French extremity movement that flooded horror cinema in the early 2000s, 2016's Raw is an uneasy but captivating watch. Depicting young veterinary student Justine getting to grips with hazing in her first year of university, she is forced to eat meat for the first time to fit in with her peers. And the lifelong vegetarian discovers she has quite the taste for flesh. Moving on from animal products to meat a little closer to home, Justine's hunger is awoken in the midst of getting a bikini wax from her sister, Alexia. In a scene that will have most crossing their legs in anxious trepidation, there's fortunately no minge injuries to be seen here. But Alexia does manage to lose a finger from the scissors she is using to trim the wax for Justine. Knocked unconscious, Justine then decides to skip the chicken and go full human finger dippers on Alexia's lost digit. It is all a bit much, but done in perfectly repellent fashion. 8. Drilled forehead, boiled brain. The loved ones. It's quite possibly just the implication of this injury that serves to be as effective as the little bit of it that we get to see ourselves, since Lola only manages to crack open Brent's forehead with a drill before slipping up with the boiling water she was intending on pouring in the hole. But my god, what we do see is more than enough to give you a long-term migraine just by thought alone. The loved one sees the aforementioned teenage Lola and her subservient father abduct Brent to make him experience their own version of prom, a punishment for politely turning down Lola due to planning the real deal with his girlfriend. Lola does not take kindly to not getting her way, however, and claims anyone that doesn't want her as a victim in her long line of torturous kidnappings. After carving her initials in his chest and throwing salt at him, pinning his feet to the floor, and injecting his voice box with bleach, however, she has had her fun, so she cracks out the power drill and goes to town on lobotomizing the poor boy. It is enough to simply hear this happening, but seeing the little plume of smoke come out of his face is a bit too real. 7. Knife lick. Evil Dead. Absolutely small fry compared to some of the other disgusting visions we get on this list, but as well as the rest of the movie itself, there is still one moment from the Evil Dead remake that stands worthy of mention for just how cringeworthy it is in execution. And it is one that the filmmakers very much knew would be the gory line to tiptoe in being capitalized on for marketing. Mia making out with a box cutter. After being trapped in the basement for her deadite ways, Mia lures in an unwitting Natalie, who is armed with only the previously mentioned box cutter. Instead of Mia turning this weapon against her, however, she turns it on herself. Mia gives a hearty lick to the blade that slices through her tongue. Whilst this obviously doesn't bother her, it is traumatizing to watch play out, resulting in an image that far outlives any of the other atrocities burned into our retinas in the rest of the film. 6. Dance torture. Suspiria. One that doesn't necessarily have to be bloody to be brutal. 2018 Suspiria offers up a mesmerising form of punishment as Susie Bannion realises her dance potential under the tutelage of Madame Blanc. After attending the prestigious Marcos Dance Academy, Susie is taken into a world of witchcraft and horror, used as a conduit for a strange spell that sends fellow student Olga into a spiral. Enraged at a missing friend and accusing the teachers of magical mischief, Olga runs away only to find herself trapped in a dance room right as Susie is going through her routine. Susie's movements soon begin to take control of Olga, twisting and contorting her body into a painful Picasso rendition of what the human form should look like. Slammed into walls and forced into submission, Olga is manipulated into impossible shapes, wailing and wetting herself from the horrors taking control of her movements. It is a harrowing scene capped off with the grossly indifferent treatment of her broken body as the teachers pick her up with flesh-piercing hooks to move her. Ick. 5. Ice-Lit, Shien Alo. A surrealist art film by director Luis Buñuel and artist Salvador Dali, Shien Alo isn't a conventional watch, and not necessarily a horror movie in that it feels undefinable as any type of film at all. Depicting strange images that elicit discomfort by matching between people, animals, and objects, the opening sequence has gone down in history as one of the most shocking and unpleasant unexpected moments put to screen. Beginning with a man sharpening his razor whilst looking out at the moon, we are then shown a woman held down as her eye is stretched open. As a cloud passes over the moon, so does the razor over an eyeball, with a lingering shot on the damage done to a real calf's eye left for all to see. Squeamish or not, this is a particularly vile shot, put into a movie devoid of meaning or reasoning to intentionally confuse and disgust a watcher. Considering this short film was released in 1928, quite how they got away with this level of literal eye-watering horror is still a mystery. 4. Degloving, Geralds Game. The most infamous passage in Stephen King's novel by a long shot, director Mike Flanagan brings this icky scene into gruesome reality a little too well in Geralds Game. Following poor, unfortunate Jessie, we are forced to watch as she is obediently handcuffed to the bed for a bit of kinky fun with her older husband, only for him to drop down dead from all the excitement, leaving her bound and helpless. Everyone is away for the weekend under Gerald's instruction. Her phone is impossibly out of reach on the nightstand, and as the rabid cherry on this cake of horrors, the front door has been left open for a hungry stray dog to wander in and get a taste of Gerald's prime rib. And that is without mentioning the Moonlight Man coming at night to pay Jessie a visit too. So what does she do? Why, she slits open her palm and peels the flesh from her hand like an old leather glove, forcefully flaying herself to slip her hand out of the cuffs and escape her hell house once and for all. It is a badass move, but one that will have you contorting with discomfort from the opening grisly slice all the way through to her slippery salvation. 3. Genital Grievance, Antichrist. Right, none of us want to spend that much time here with this movie, so I will make this brief. Lars von Trier wants to make you watch a woman smash up a man's crotch with a block of wood and then milk his abused hog until he spaffs blood. Also, she then later mutilates her own nethers with a pair of scissors in close-up. Take your pick, 2 for the price of 1. No matter what you're packing, there is something for everyone in this genuinely stomach-turning movie. It just really, really hates what's in your pants. 2. Flayed Alive, Martyrs. Is it really a list of gross injuries without martyrs making an appearance? This movie is an exercise in celebrating the most gnarly injuries one can suffer for the sake of pain as enlightenment, utilising torture porn and new French extremity to blend up something that is as disgusting an experience one can get in a film preoccupied with pain as beauty. Sorry Hellraiser, but you've been pipped to the post on this one. Of course, this is all to say that the end of Martyrs reveals that the gore-obsessed narrative is one well spent. A secret philosophical society has long been testing their theories on martyrdom in young women through inflicting excruciating pain on them, hoping that at their peak they will transcend this world and gain insight into the afterlife. And the easiest way of dishing out the most torture one could possibly go through by this group? Why, just flaying our main character alive in grueling detail. Thanks for that. 1. Pooh Pen, Come to Daddy. With all this gore and unpleasantry, it's easy to overlook humble injuries that are simply disgusting in their own right. But never fear, as Come to Daddy is here, with Elijah Wood bearing witness to one of the most oh no moments of torture director Ant Timpson could come up with. Trapped in a basement that he's just discovered contains his tied-up, long-estranged father, Elijah Wood's novel is forced to hide as the man that put Father Dearest there is coming back, and Big Bad Jethro has brought his own torture supplies with him. Said torture supplies consist of a pen packed up in a little Ziploc bag, smeared with some strange substance that Jethro soon reveals is his own excrement. Or excrement, if we're being accurate, but it is poop all the same. He intends, and does indeed later get round to doing, to plunge this crap-covered pen into Norval's dad's side to leave him with an infected wound that will require urgent medical assistance, which he'll only get upon receiving the information he's after. Dad refuses, the poopy pen goes in, and we are all left with far too much insight into what truly counts as one of the rankest injuries out there. It is one thing to get stabbed, but to get stabbed with a pen? No thanks. And that's our list. What other gross injuries would you add to this list? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash over on social media at Ash Millman. This has been WhatCulture. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back again soon for some more spine-tingling horror content. Thanks for watching.